What's up, guys? So today I'm going to work on the enemy animations. So far I've only got one enemy here, a fighter enemy, but I'll also be creating a sword enemy and a gun enemy. So I've gone ahead and I've created two separate folders for the Android with the gun and Android with the sword. So quickly what I'm going to do for these animations, I found that you can select all of them. Well, maybe not. I lied. I gotta do these one at a time. So loop time, apply. I thought if you selected all of them. Nope. Could do the same thing for the sword. I gotta find the idle, loop time. Okay, so to make it easy, I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm going to copy and paste these a couple times. So the first one I'm going to keep as fighter. Second one I will rename as sword. This one is going to be gun. The only thing that I really need to do is for the gun and the sword I need to remove the script. So right click on the script and press remove component. And for the sword I need to add a sword. I'm going to go down. I've got to find the bone, the right wrist bone. I believe my models are, there we go. Scale that down by half so I'm going to pair that sword to the right wrist. Oops. And I'm going to do a similar thing for the Android gun. Scale that down as well. Again, I have to find the bone. Okay, that's basically it. And what I have to do now is I need to go to Animator to create two new animators. Animator controller, female warrior sword, and another one called female warrior gun. So we'll go into, first of all, I'm going to go into the sword, and I'm going to change it to female warrior sword. And I'll do the same thing for the gun. So I have separate animators for these three different enemies. So the first one is gun controller. Right away I'm going to change this to speed. Double click. Add motion fields. And I'm looking for Android gun. Idle. Android gun. Walk. And Android guard gun run. So if I play that, and I've actually got the wrong animations. Right animations now, so got the idle, walk, and the run is scaling up. I'm not going to worry about that now. I'm just going to change it to I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so I'm going to go into I mistakenly gotta delete these. I don't know why, but I created these two female warrior animators. I was supposed to create Android animators. So I'm going to go back in here. I'll just temporarily set it back to Android animator. And I'm going to delete sorting gun animators. right here, I'm going to create the new animators. Dried sword. Dried gun. Okay, and I'm going to re-specify them again so I don't forget later. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the gun and I gotta do this again. Right click, create state from new blend tree, double click, add 3 motion fields, okay, so for the gun that's I think good enough. It's only the scaling issue is something I need to deal with a little bit later. Then I want to go into the gun, right click, from blend tree. Oh, I want to go back here and I want to quickly set this to speed. The same thing with this so I don't forget later. One, two, three. So here I'm looking for sword idle, sword walk, and sword run. Seems like these are all scaled up. So idle, walk, and run. So I'll have to worry about the scaling later. I'm going to go back to the base layer, and because I have 1, 2, 3, I'm going to and I want to go ahead and rename all these. And if you remember, no exit time, attack 1, you gotta select these arrows. Deselect has exit time. Attack 2, attack 3, attack 4, and I have to create a transition back So as soon as the attack is done, it goes back to the regular blend space. Oops. Okay, and I need to add attacks to the first. These are the animations where there's no weapon equipped, so it's going to be punches and kicks. One. First one's called Haymaker Left, Haymaker Right, Kick Left, Kick Right. Okay, whoops. Okay, that looks good for now. So I just want to press play. I just want to make sure that it's playing the idle animations. Oops. It's playing the idle animations, but the gun animations are scaled down. So we're going to have to fix that. So I've created 2 more scripts. I had the Android fighter script already made. I'm just going to open these up. So I've got the fighter here. This is the one I created before, where it takes a hit from the player's gun and then it dies after 1 second. The other 2 are empty. And I'm going to drag these on just so I don't forget later. So first I'm going to go into the fighter, and there's things that I want to do to it. So I have to start off by creating a bunch more variables. Private rigid body called my RB, public float walk speed equals 2. Oops. Public float run speed equals 5. I'm going to add one that it's going to be, I'm going to add 2 forward slashes because I'm not going to use it right now. It's going to be for the future. It's going to be called player movement. The player. And right below it, I'm going to create another one with the same name, but of type game object. Oops. Player. Create an animator. Float called distance to player. Bool called can attack. This could be set to true by default. Float attack number equals 1. Because we've got 4 different attacks. Public float distance to run. We'll set it to 500 for now. I can change it later. Public float distance to walk equals 50. And public float distance to attack equals 0.8. I'm going to hop into the start function and I'm going to do my RB equals get component rigid body. So rigid body, and when I have one of these selected, it's getting this component right here for the fighter, and that's it's going to use the rigid body to add movement to the character. The animator is get component animator. It might be for that. Actually, right after that, I'm going to do forward, 2 forward slashes. This is going to be used for later on. So basically what this is, later on I'm going to reference the player by looking for the player movement script. It's actually called player movement tutorial. That's for later, but for now, because I'm not using that, I'm going to reference the player by treating the player as a game object. So I'm going to plunk that in later on. In the update function, so I created a variable up here called distance to player. So I'm going to set the value of it at every tick in the update. So vector 3 distance of the player. So it's getting the transform of the player. So the player.transform.position transform position. So this first part gets the position of the player, and the second part gets the position of this android, and then it gets the distance between the two, and it sets it under this variable. And I also have to do transform. So I just want to point out that if there's nothing in front of the transform, like over here there's the player in front of the transform, if there's nothing there, that means it's referring to this particular character. So transform will get new vector 3, the player dot transform dot position dot x, transform dot position dot y, the player dot transform position dot z. So it's constantly looking at the position of the player and the x and the z, but it's not looking at the y of the player. It's just maintaining the y of this enemy. So it's constantly rotating to the player. Now is the fun part. I'm going to actually code it so that it actually does something. I want to create, right above the update, I want to create a fixed update. It does the same thing as update, except with update, this is the tick of the computer, like every tick, as to where fixed update is like a set tick, set by Unity, I believe. The difference is update, like the frequency of the tick depends on the computer, I don't know, the memory at any given point. So if you have, like, just say a level with like tons of geometry in it or lots of stuff going on, then it's going to take up a lot of memory, so therefore it's going to be a lot less ticks per second, as to where this one's just fixed. And I'm not sure why, but I think what I'm about to do next is better if it's done under fixed update. But either way, I'm going to get this thing started. So I have to create some if statements. If distance to player is greater than distance to run, else if distance to player smaller or equal to distance to run, and distance to player is greater or equal to distance to walk. I'm just going to copy and paste these twice. So it's distance to attack. This last one is okay. So for all of these, I need to set my RB, which is the rigid body. That's set right here. Velocity equals transform dot forward times 0. Oops. Okay, so if it's greater than distance to run, it's just going to stand there. Once it's under that, if it's between distance to run and distance to walk, it's going to do run speed. If it's between walk speed and distance to attack, it's going to do walk speed. And if it's smaller or equal to distance to attack, then again, it's going to be at speed 0. So it's going to be idle animation for the first one as well as the second one. Why it wasn't working. First of all, with the Android selected, you have to deselect use gravity for some reason. I'm not sure why it's not working right now. It usually should work. In the scripts, I changed it the walk speed or distance to walk to 5. And once you change that in the script, you have to go back in and change it manually. It doesn't always update in this field. Originally I had 50 and it still said 50, so you have to change that. And another thing that I had mixed up was the speed. For running it should be 1, and for walking it should be 0.5, but I had these two flipped. I think that was pretty much it. Oh, in the animator, I had this. I didn't change the name to speed. It was still a blend. That's why I wasn't playing any animations. But now it's working. So if I play, as you can see, he's walking. But when you get too far away, he runs, and then he walks, and then he stands right there. And once he's at this distance, this idle position, that's when he starts attacking, and that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so I'm going to hop back into the script, and in this last else if, when the distance to player is smaller or equal to distance to attack, that's when the enemy is standing right in front of the player. I'm going to add so if can attack equals true, then immediately I'm going to set can attack equals false, because I don't want him to attack multiple times. Like I don't want like overlapping attacks. I want him to complete an attack before he does the next attack. So I'm going to use the start coroutine. This is a way of creating a slight delay. Oops. So way down here, I want to create enumerator called can attack again. Yield, return new, wait 4 seconds. After that 1 second passes, can attack equals true. And once that attack is set to true, then it repeats this over and over again. Oh, I know what I did wrong. That's better. Then right below here, it creates an if statements. If attack number equals 1, which is the default value. So if attack number equals 1, attack number is going to be set to 2. Change this to 3, 4, and 1. This the 1 loops it back to attack number 1. And here dot set trigger attack 1. So all this fires only if can attack is true. Once it's true, just say it does attack 1. And then once, because it's immediately set to false, in the coroutine it waits 1 second. And as soon as it's set to true again, then it goes to attack 2, waits 1 second, attack 3, waits 1 second, attack 4. Okay, so I'm gonna compile, and I want to try this out. Okay, if I hit play, oops, he runs, then walks, and when he's a certain distance, attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so I'm gonna code the Android sword now. But before I do that, I'm gonna the same way that I turned off gravity, I'm gonna do that for the other two. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab. Let's see. I'm just gonna copy and paste everything. It's pretty much almost all the same. Oh, before I do that, I need to create namespaces. So namespace sword Android. Namespace Android. And once those compiled, I have to go into player movement at the very top. Using a sword Android and using gun Android. You're going to need to go to the very bottom. And I have to make these for the sword and the gun. And I just need to change the names. Sword. Because I've already created a target here, I need to change this name to target 1. Android. So just a reminder, these names I'm typing are the names of the scripts. Target 1. Oops. Gun 2. Oops. Okay, so in case you don't remember, this one here, this when the raycast shoots out, then it triggers this function here, take damage. And I'm going to do because I'm copying and pasting, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. So I'm going to grab all this. Oops. Copy. Paste. Paste. Everything in the start function. Paste. Paste. Oh, I know what I did wrong. This has to be down here. Can't be right after the namespace. It has to be right after it says public class Android. I need to copy and paste everything in the fixed update. To copy everything within update. To copy all these methods. Okay, so first for the sword. So right now, okay, seems like these are all good because it's picking up the take damage. The Android sword and the Android gun both have they take damage now, so it doesn't have like the warning, the red underline. So I'm gonna do. Save all this. Okay, so all these saved. I'm going to go through each one real quick. So distance to player is greater than distance to run. That's right. Okay. Attack. Everything looks about right. I know for this one here, obviously the Android gun doesn't have any attacks, so I'm going to get rid of all this. Distance to attack, I'm going to put it, I'm going to change these values. Change that to 10, this one to 5. I'm just going to see what that looks like. The Android with the gun, because it's not going to do any close-up melee attacks, it can be a little bit further away from the player before it stops and stands. So I'm going to save that, and I'm just going to see how that everything looks. It's taking a second for it to compile. Okay, first I need to go in here. Oh yeah, so distance to walk and to attack hasn't been changed, so I have to change that to 10 and 5. And you need to drag the, don't forget to drag the default pose into the player. Same with the sword. Okay, so if I hit play, both these guys are coming at me. So they're both attacking me, which is good. And when I get far enough away, they both run at me. And one of them's higher. What's going on there? Oh, I know, there's no gravity, that's why. I gotta fix that somehow. Okay, besides that, everything looks okay. Okay, so I figured out the scaling issue with the gun Android. Again, it's basically just scaling it up in Blender, scaling up the armature, and then exporting. So that's fixed. The only I figured out the reason why. So I set gravity back to true, but under constraints, I have to freeze rotations. So now if I go in and play, even though gravity's clicked on, it works just fine. And they no longer float in the air. Okay, so I'm going to create a couple things. I'm going to work on the bullet for the gun Android as well as the fire point. So I'll start with a fire point. I'm going to create the object called fire point. With the local, I'm going to rotate it so that Z is pointing this way. And I'm just going to move it up near the muzzle. Bring it out a bit. And I need to parent it under the gun. Okay. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go right ahead and 3D object to a cylinder. I'm going to rotate it. Actually, no. I'm going to create an empty object first. Create empty. Call it bullet Android gun. I'm going to set this to 0, 0, 0. So there's going to be 0, 0, 0. I'm going to parent the cylinder under. So I'm going to scale make a really small point. 1. Because forward is that way. Okay, so I've created a projectiles folder, and within that folder there's a prefabs folder, and I'm going to create, or I'm going to grab this bullet that I just created, and I'm going to dump it in the prefabs folder. And as soon as I do that, it creates a prefab, and as you can see, this turns blue. That means it's referencing a prefab. So I'm going to double click. Actually, I don't need this in the world anymore. Just if I double click this, I need to create a script. Bullet Android gun. I'm just going to open that up. So I'm going to start with the variables. Before I do that, I'm going to go right ahead. And create a rigid body. I'm going to turn gravity off and freeze rotations. And I'm going to dump the script just so I don't forget. Okay, back into scripts. I need a couple variables. Private rigid body, my RB, public float move speed equals 20, public int for integer, image to give equals 1, and the start function my RB equals component rigid body. The update my RB dot velocity, so it's constantly moving. Transform dot forward times move speed. So I need to create a method public void on trigger enter collider other if other game object dot tag equals player. And then, which reminds me, oops, I'm going to go in here, scenes, select the female warrior, and I'm going to tag it as player. There's already a bunch of defaults here, but you can add more if you want. if else if so the next piece of code I'm not going to use, but I'll just type it in anyways. So I'm going to give it some forward brackets. Other dot game object dot get component player health. I don't have this script, that's why I'm not going to utilize it at the moment. Dot hurt player damage to give. So this is going to be used in another tutorial, but I'm just going to put it in for now anyways. And I'm going to copy and paste this. So basically, no matter what it hits, it's going to destroy game object. If it destroys anything other than the player, it's going to destroy game object. If it hits the player, then it's going to destroy game object, but it's also going to, like this line, is supposed to deal damage to the player. So I think that's pretty much done for bullet. So if I go into the bullet, okay, so everything looks good here. I'm going to go back into the Android gun script, and I have to add a couple things to this. So oops, I'll add some variables, public game object bullet, public float time between shots equals 0.1 f. Oops. Private float shot counter, public transform fire point 1, public float distance to shoot equals 50. Okay, so in the update, if distance to player smaller equal to distance to shoot, then shot counter is minus equal to time dot delta time. If shot counter is smaller or equal to 0, then shot counter is set to time between shots, which is 0.1, and I'm going to instantiate bullet from the fire point 1 position and fire point 1 dot rotation. I think that's all the code I need. Compile. With that compiled, I need to go back into the scene, and under the Android gun, as you can see in the script, it asks for the bullet as well as the fire point. So the bullet is from the Projectiles folder, prefabs folder, and you just drag and drop that prefab. The fire point is the one that's parented to the gun under the wrist. So grab this fire point. Okay, and if I play, all I'm checking to see is if the bullet is coming out of the gun. And he's shooting very, very fast. So these guys, I haven't made them deal any damage to me yet, but if I shoot them, as you can see, they disappear. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I think that was long enough. I'll probably take a break from this series. I'm going to come back to this series and build on it, and maybe add more enemies and build a full level and see what else we can do to the level and what else I can create tutorials for. And I'm also going to add to the Unreal series that I did before this Unity series. So if you're interested, please stay tuned to that. And yeah, thanks for watching.